Hey, welcome to Passionate About Music Education, and I'm Rachel Hardman. And today I'm going to talk to you about how to grow your department and give you some really good tips on how to get more students engaged into your music activities. And I've found, to be honest, it all starts in the classroom, and particularly if you're like myself, a general music teacher who teaches band and choirs and orchestras at lunchtimes and after schools and before school. Then the general music classroom is where you engage your students first. And first tip is to make sure that those lessons that you have, your general music classes, particularly with middle school students and your high school students, are fun, are fast-paced and very practical. You need to be clear on your behaviour expectations, but do this in a positive way and positively reinforce good behaviour. If they like you in the general music classroom, they are going to come and give up their lunch times after school, before school to work with you. If they're not enjoying their music lessons in the general classroom with you, then they're not going to come and spend time with you. So that is really important to build that relationship in the general music classroom. Tip 2 is really try to engage with the very new students arriving at the school. So that might be year 7 or grade 6. It might be, if you're going into high school, it might be grade 10 or year 10 students. Those are the students that you want to try and build relationships with because they are new to your school, like yourself. So they're the ones who are going to follow you through the program. Now, obviously, the top students in your middle school or the top students in your high school, of course you want to engage with those students as well. And you'll find that the musical students will just come and join in and be involved. But if you've taken a program over, you might find that the students who were maybe involved before don't want to carry on, and, that's perfectly fine. You've got to kind of give them the freedom to choose because you want them to be there because they enjoy it. My next tip is to build good relationships with your students. And I know that sounds really obvious. We want to build good relationships with our family, with our friends, with our colleagues, but we also need to do that with students. They need to feel that you care about them, that you're interested. One of the really easy ways to do that is to find out some kind of sport that they like to do or an activity they do, whether they dance. And that's a really great way to kind of build some kind of rapport with that student so that they feel that you're interested in them. Because why would they give up their lunchtime and after school and come to concerts and do all the practicing that we expect of our music students if they think you're not interested? And my last tip is whatever you do, a choir, a band, steel pans, recorders, orchestra, chamber ensembles, flute choirs, whatever you do with the strength of the students that you have, make sure that you are consistent, that you are there every week to be at the rehearsals. If they are going to come and give up their time, they need to know that you're always going to be there. And don't be lazy about music either. Really find music that is engaging. Don't do the same song for 6 months. It just stops children enjoying music making. Keep it fun, keep it relevant, keep it pacey. Give them some kind of goal to work towards so that you're not just practicing for practice sake. Remember some of these students are going to be on the football team or the netball team, and they know that if they go to practice that they're going to go and play in a tournament. So, if you want them to come to a practice every single week in, week out throughout the whole of the school year, then there needs to be a concert and it doesn't have to be a huge 2-hour concert. It can just be a tea time concert where you invite their parents in or straight after school or you can perform in assembly. Students don't tend to love that because they don't really like performing in front of their peers, but there are all sorts of opportunities, going out to old people's homes, going out into the community, Christmas singing, all of that. Students really love it. So there has to be some kind of hook, some kind of reason for them to keep coming to practice. Remember, if they're on the football team, the hook is to go and play in tournaments and hopefully win matches and go and win, compete with other schools. They are going to want to showcase their work. So make sure that if you're going to run the clubs and you want them to be successful, be consistent. And the other last little tip is don't be offended if they come to you and say, I'm really sorry, Mrs. Hardman, I can't come today because I've got football training. They've put an extra session on. Students who are good at music are good at everything. We know that. It's just how it is. And they do get pulled in so many different directions. The fact that they've come to find you and tell you that they can't come is a sign of respect. And in return, you just say, I really appreciate you letting me know. Thank you for coming and seeing me. Have a good session. I'll see you next week. If you want to practice the music, that would be fantastic. And you'll find those students come back and are consistent because you've been kind and understanding. I know it's frustrating when you have a rehearsal, usually about 2 weeks before a concert, and there's a clash with some kind of sporting event or debating or a maths tournament. It is just part of being in a school and trying to do music education. It's not the child's fault if they get pulled in 5, 6, 7 different ways. That's not their fault. Sometimes it's their disorganisation, but 95% of the time it's really not their fault. It's who shouts loudest at them that they tend to respond to. And you don't want to be that teacher they're frightened of. If they've come to see you and say that they can't come to a rehearsal, then you should, honour that respect and show it back to them, because they will stay in your programme a lot longer. I hope this has given you lots of good basic ideas on how to build your program. It does take time. It's not a 10-second fix. It does take time. We know that because we know how long it takes to learn a musical instrument. But the more you are consistent, the more you are fun in your general music classrooms with the students, and the more they see your personality and how much you love music, the more engaged they will be and the longer they will be a part of your program. So don't forget to make jobs for your older students, student helpers, get them doing stage management, get them in charge of tuning. So if you're going to a new school and you want to get your older students engaged, brilliant, get them involved in leadership roles. They love that. They become role models, and then the younger students aspire to be them. They know what's coming, what they want to be. It's really important. I hope this has given you lots of good ideas. I'm Rachel Hardman, and this is Passionate About Music Education.